Joining me on Startup Report today is Dr. Trillitye Paullin of Free to Feed. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Joe.
You're based in Boise?
I am. I am based out of Boise, Idaho.
And this is all part of a series with the Tampa Bay Wave Tech Diversity cohort. Can you talk to me about how you found out about Wave?
Absolutely. So I found out about Wave through a fellow Tillman scholar. I'm a Pat Tillman scholar and Army veteran. And his company, NeuroWave, had gone through a cohort previously. So he had recommended me, introduced me to Tampa Bay Wave, and originally wasn't going to apply because I don't quite meet some of the requirements for the cohort because I'm so early. So was decided to put it out there anyway to see if they'd give me a shot, and they did.
Well, congratulations. So let's talk about where you are in that journey. What's been the evolution of the company thus far?
Yeah, the company was created a little over a year ago, and it was built out of necessity and a crazy storm that is my journey. I have a PhD in cellular molecular biology from University of South Florida, so I have roots in Tampa. And when I was finishing grad school, my last year, I had my oldest daughter, and she had severe food allergies, reacted to proteins in my breast milk. And we were told that our only option was to switch to a hypoallergenic formula, which is about $50 a can and smells like sweaty gym socks. And it was made out of corn syrup. And so, to be totally frank, as a grad student, I just simply couldn't afford $50 cans of formula every couple of days. So we started asking the question about, okay, if you can make hypoallergenic formula in a lab, can I make hypoallergenic breast milk maybe? And the answer was a hesitant yes, but because we can't test your infant, she's too young to test to see what she's allergic to, you'll have to remove everything. So I went top 8 free per year. So I was really skinny. That was nice. But that was about where the benefits ended. And I breastfed her for a year and went through that whole process. And fast forward to my second daughter being born with the same exact ailment. But now I was out of grad school and really started looking around me and saying, why is there not any content available? Why is there not any support? And then even more, like, why are there no options? There's no product for moms to help them through this process. And I have my background, my PhD was in protein analysis for ovarian cancer. So I know a little bit about protein. And that is what most infants are reacting to in breast milk is dietary proteins transferred to mom's breast milk. That led me down this pathway of creating a product that would allow moms to test their breast milk for the presence of dietary proteins in their milk at home. And that way mom can determine what the culprit is and test subsequent milk for those proteins. So if you can determine, yep, I know for a fact that soy causes a problem because I know exactly when it enters and leaves my milk, then you can go and enjoy a date night and test your milk to see when your milk is clear of that soy because you really wanted to go eat some Japanese food.
Right. So then it's sort of the doctors were able to say that theoretically you can reduce these elements to your diet, but the problem is we don't know which elements, so your choice is to reduce them all. And there's also the risk side to it because if you don't, take out the right thing, then this allergic reaction could happen. And so the kind of common wisdom going backwards was just don't take the chance, switch to this other formula and call it a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so did you then develop a process? So obviously now you've got the strips that can actually pinpoint which thing is causing the reaction. How's that process work? How do you know translate from what the strip tells you to what's affecting the baby?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the test strips detect the protein in breast milk. So very similar to what you would think of as like a pregnancy test where you get a line if it sees the protein above a certain threshold or not. And so then mom can use the Free to Feed app, which is not yet available. We're still in production. We're still in development phases. So essentially then mom would be able to put, there's dairy and egg in my milk. It's Tuesday at 5 p.m. And then she'd also be able to annotate when she nurses, which is common that moms do that already, and also any reactions she may see. So, Tuesday night, baby was very colicky and had a rash. So essentially, then the algorithm marries that information and gives both the parent and the medical professional the correlative data to say, based on correlations, and this is how strong that correlation is, it's likely that the baby is reacting to wheat in mom's milk. So that's where mom can work with a medical professional, and then they can actually determine what is causing the reaction, which is completely changes the story for mom because now her diet's completely open aside from wheat now, and it changes the story for introduction. So now it's not this crazy, very scary and open-ended. We're going to start slowly giving these foods. We have no idea which one's going to cause a reaction. Instead, and now you can do it more purposely.
Got it. And then with the strip, theoretically, once you know that it gives you certain data, is it possible that multiple foods could come back and deliver that same protein? Therefore, you could actually test and even find things in the results that point to other foods without actually having to go through the full experience with the baby.
So the interesting piece is that the top allergens that cause reactions in infants are fairly common. So that's our first goal, is to look at those specific foods. So very first test strip on the market will be for cow's milk protein. So that's going to cover all dairy then, right? So we're looking anything that is made out of cow's milk will then be detected if it ends up in mom's breast milk. And then from there, we'll add soy because it's the next most common, and so on and so forth. So the protein that we're looking for and the piece of the protein that we're looking for is specific to the allergen that's common in infants, commonly causes a reaction in infants. And it covers a wide breadth of then like kind of a food category, if you will.
Right. Well, I'm just going to throw out there V2 or product line expansion, wine, alcohol. so many moms, they want to have a glass of wine, then they have to do the whole pump and dump thing. So if you could give them a simple test to let them know what the content was, that I think that'd be a hot seller.
Yeah, so that already exists actually. So that is a product that exists. And if there are any moms that are listening, don't pump and dump. Not enough alcohol ends up in your system in order to have to do that. If you can drive a car, you can nurse a baby.
Okay. That's good to know. One thing that's interesting that I like, or that's unusual and that you're doing so early in the game, is that you're really injecting yourself into the product and into the brand. You've got the Dr. Trill, name out there, and you're on the homepage of the website. So, was that obviously that was intentional, but can you talk to me about your thinking process and how to grow the company around you as a brand?
Absolutely. So a large part of the company story is my journey and all of the different facets of my journey. So the other piece is that, we're talking about moms, and moms want to know that you have the best of intentions and that you understand their struggle. And there is no one better that understands that struggle than someone who's literally been in their bras, if you will. And so in that way, I did make the decision to put myself out there as the face of the company, for now at least, and also to highlight all of the other mothers going through this. So, on our Instagram feed and on Facebook, and even on the website, we talk a lot about other moms' journeys and stories through this because it's very nuanced, it's hard, it's debilitating and isolating. And I wanted to make sure that there was a face to that, and it wasn't just a brand, and there was a personal relationship there. And in addition to that, allow people to see the growth, and so be able to experience like, oh yeah, I was a part of Dr. Trill's journey back when she first started, and I followed her back then, and we've talked for 5 years, and now this company is where it is today. So that was really my goal.
And I feel like the most successful, one of the archetypes of this is Sarah Blakely, and with her, you really feel like it wasn't, a product and then a name. It was a name that had a deep root in the product. And With you, when your experience and your upbringing and then your time in the military, it really feels like that this is a common thread that's been in you long before it was a product. Is that fair?
Absolutely, 100%. And I love Sarah's story. It's absolutely incredible. And there's a lot of parallels there. So, and I look up to her. I want to solve a problem that I know exists because I lived it. Not only that, but the really important thing to me as a startup founder, because out of the gate, my goal is never to start a company. I'm a thoroughly through and through, I am a scientist. And so starting a company is completely new water for me. And it's important for me to stay connected to those moms that are in the trenches, literally right now. And so without being able to do that, right, for Sarah, it was probably easier because she's dealing with the same problem all the time. And so her product helps her on a continuous basis, whereas I'm no longer breastfeeding. And so it's important to me because it keeps me going and it keeps me motivated to go back and think about the pain and live in that almost continuously.
One of the challenges that a lot of experts face, it's the chef with the restaurant or the scientist with the product, is bringing in the other elements of what a startup uh, needs from its founder. So, what's been your approach to understanding finances, fundraising, marketing, cost of customer acquisition, and how have you attacked that?
Yeah, I would say that my method to my madness has been complete transparency and that I am not a subject matter expert in a vast majority of all other things. I know a whole lot about molecular biology and proteins and breastfeeding and infant nutrition. And beyond that, as far as like a lot of the company pieces that you just listed, that's not my area of expertise. And I 100% embrace that, if that makes sense. And so I find the people around me who that is their area of expertise, and I just surround myself with those people and be super transparent and humble in that I know that they're going to know better, and just interject my own mission to that.
And with that business sort of hat on, how has something like the Wave Accelerator helped?
The Wave Accelerator, and we're only a few weeks into it, has been immensely helpful because not only have I been able to hear from the subject matter experts in all of those fields, marketing and accounting and branding, fundraising, all of those pieces. So it for me gives me the foundation that I need in order to have the educational conversations I need to with these other people in my space. Right. So without having any background in this, being able to hear these panels and this education from the accelerator is absolutely vital to me being able to even, push the needle forward.
So we talked a little bit about the product development. What are the next major hurdles for moving the company forward?
So right now we are in the middle of a third-party validation study. I have seen some other companies, not in this same arena, but similar, where it's a allergen detection or something of that accord, where they don't do that extra due diligence, and it's a lot harder to get the medical and the science community behind that product. And so that is what we're working on right now. That's one of the main pieces as we finish up the product development, do this third party validation study, and then push forward and get this MVP to market. And my goal is to hit the market with the cow's milk protein strip singularly in order to get all of the feedback from moms about, like, I love this, I hate this. And then once we have that feedback and understand what is great and not so great about the product, continuously start to add the other top allergens to the test strip and make it more and more valuable for parents.
And what will be your distribution strategy when you go to market? Are you hoping to sell directly mostly from the website and Amazon, or are you looking to get into the CVSs of the world?
We're going to start e-commerce, and that's been a big part of the website and the content and really laying that foundation down. So we'll start with e-commerce and eventually get likely to box stores. My big thing is I do want to sell direct to consumer because I don't want mom to have any barrier of entry to get to this product.
And then do you plan to fulfill yourself, or are you going to start with the the boxes in the living room and packing them up, or are you going to use a fulfillment center?
We actually have a pretty awesome partnership, another company that works in allergen detection that is equipped to manufacture, package, and ship.
Oh, that's brilliant. And then eventually, obviously, once the Dr. Trill brand grows, I'm sure you've got visions for other products and expanding the offerings. And I do notice that you even have some classes and things like that available on the site as well. Can you talk about that side of the business?
Absolutely. So I would say the first year of the company, I had many moms that would come to me and we would work through the process of what it is they're doing, what they're eating currently, what the symptoms are. And what I found is that medical professionals, so pediatricians, lactation consultants, and everyone in between, they have zero education in this particular space. So infant nutrition and how dietary proteins can transfer to breast milk. So there's a lot of misinformation about the timing for that, right? So if I eat an ice cream cone right now, how long will that ice cream cone's proteins be in my breast milk? And so this huge gap of knowledge has just translated to misinformation gone awry. Everything from like, it won't get in your breast milk at all, ever. Doesn't happen. Never, ever a thing. All the way to it's there for months and months and months, which is insanity. And I was told that it was in there for 2 weeks. So with my oldest, we did formula for 2 weeks because I didn't know any better. So I created the masterclass in order to bring together these medical professionals with the parents that are literally living in this right now so that we can educate them on the actual science, what is actually published about how this whole process works, how to walk parents through an elimination diet that's more useful to mom than just take it all out of your diet, and then how to work through reintroduction. So not only am I working to educate everybody in one cohesive space, but then also having follow-up consults where I can help mom on like the next steps, right? And to answer specific questions she has from the content.
So it makes a lot of sense to try to build that sort of expertise, be a center of gravity for that in the community, so that you can provide the knowledge, and then of course the strips become an important tool in putting that knowledge to use. Potentially, do you see distributing and selling out through these lactation consultants, and as another means of getting the product into the hands of moms?
Absolutely. So one of our channels is going to be to provide lactation consultants and other medical professionals with sample sets, right? So a couple of strips and a sample set that, if these professionals that are in the, front lines of infant reactions see the telltale symptoms, they can say like, hey, you may want to look into this. This is an option. This is how it works. So I think educating them on the front end is going to make our transition into the market so much smoother. And then the other piece is that moms want to be heard, right? And they want to know that there's something I can do, right? What can I do? There's got to be an answer. So you're essentially equipping the medical professional with that. Right now, the answer is to go to the back storage area and grab your can of free hypoallergenic formula sample. Well, now we're going to also have the option where they can go to the back storage and grab your couple of test strips.
Wonderful. So what's the hardest part of having a startup?
Oh, the hardest part of having a startup is for me right now, juggling the incredibly hard decisions that come with this early. Like you're really building and the baseline for the entire pulse of your company moving forward. So who do you bring on? And how are you setting the pace and the culture really early? Like even if you are alone, you're still setting a culture. And so that's super important to me. And I would say that is a stress because it's not something that I've ever done before. And while there are, experts that talk about it, it's really, really hard to have somebody else do that for you. I can, have somebody else do my taxes and help me learn how to do QuickBooks, but having somebody teach me how to build a company with the most effective and all-inclusive culture is a completely different story.
Sure. Well, you have your the deep roots that you have, the passion that you bring to this business ultimately will be your compass there. So I think you're in a better position than most to just reveal authenticity and let that be the guide for the most part. What's the best part of having a startup?
The best part of having a startup is the thousands of women who have contacted me through social media or the website or in person and thanked me. I legitimately I cry on almost a daily basis, if I could admit that, at these messages that I get of Dr. Trill, I went through your action plan. We put this in place. I really wanted to keep breastfeeding and no one told me I could. You're the only person who said that I could. And I did it. And, now we're breastfeeding and things are amazing and wonderful. And, thank you so much for that. That happens on a very regular basis. And my husband just now expects it. Like he'll look across the table and I'll be like, just tears. That is 110% the best part.
Enjoyed the conversation. Congrats on getting into the Wave Accelerator so early, and we'll keep watching and rooting for your success, and maybe rooting for you to relocate down to Tampa Bay because it's a great place to build a company.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. And I think my husband's rooting for that too. So we'll see.
All right. Thanks.